nice to meet you. I've heard of your name. Miss Lucia was telling me about you.
Who was that?
Lucia Claiborne.
Oh yeah, Lucia was telling you about me. Okay, Lucia's my buddy.
Might be because Mark acted like a
Lucia's
clown
my
at that.
spiritual advisor.
I think that's because you acted like a clown that one time at that trust training.
Dude, I didn't act like a
You
clown.
were
You're
very
the clown.
unprofessional.
Dude, I've got the tape of the trust performance. You were unprofessional.
That guy,
Especially when you say,
something
remember
else.
that guy? Remember that dude's like, I've never had a complaint in 20 years of business. And you like looked at Walter and said, I'm going to go file one right now. And he heard you. I got that on tape for every one of you guys that want to know about that.
It's a little slap happy after a couple of days of
Let's
that.
give it about 1 more minute.
That was like day 3 of him just ranting about trusts all day.
Hey, we learned a lot about trust that day.
I forgot about that. I did whisper. I thought I was whispering it to you under my breath. I'm like, I should file a complaint. And it must have just echoed in the whole room or something.
Dude, I'm gonna get that thing and put it as like a meme that's just on repeat for you.
That's good.
Oh, God, that was great. Let's give it just another minute or so, and then we'll get started. Okay, I'm sorry. So let me guess, they pooped somewhere?
Ooh.
Okay, sorry. My fault. I left the dog door shut overnight. Nice.
Ooh. Button that up.
Yeah, that's a good way to make Mama happy. She just pointed at me. She goes, the dog door is shut. She just said, I should have said I know nothing. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Una, how are you? Okay, let me make sure this thing is on now. I believe it is recording. All right, fantastic. We're recording. First off, I just want to tell everybody thank you for coming. But more importantly, I want to tell Chris thank you. Chris has developed an unbelievable system for us. And it is going to continue to evolve and continue to get better. We are so fortunate. We are so fortunate to have Chris as part of our group. For those of you that don't know and that won't know, well, a lot of you guys will be seeing this on video. Chris is actually the guy that recruited me over here. He's been a good friend for years, and we're very fortunate to work with him. So this is a gift. This is a gift, guys, to us from Chris, mainly because he wants to see us win. So here's kind of going to be the deal. I'll announce this beforehand, but I'm going to put up a note sheet that Chris has made, right? And as we see things and or ideas that you may have, you just put them on the sheet, and if they make sense for the group and they're not, impossible to implement, then Chris is going to try to do that and make everything work the way we want it to, because this is literally being designed for you and for me. So Chris, man, thank you for talking to us, brother. Thank you for introducing this to us. It's all yours, man. You got it.
Well, hey, I appreciate the kind words there. Let me, if you're all right, I'll just share my screen and we can kind of just jump into the goal here. So I think everybody's maybe familiar with the GFI tracker Google Doc, or maybe at some point somebody said, hey, you should fill this out. I think when I saw that, I panicked a little bit. Probably should have developed this a lot sooner, but this will be our login. So I'm at BackOfficeTracker.com. Everybody here should have received a username and a password for it. If you don't have it, Mark can send it back over. So I'm going to log in as me, the agent. So I've set myself up a profile on here. So you can see I've logged into the system here. The whole goal is that this just stores everything about my agent experience. So instead of using a Google Doc or something like that, that's almost impossible for Mark or anybody, or maybe even yourself, to manage. If you had 4 or 5 people that you brought into the business, how are you going to manage those relationships? So over here on the left side, you can see I've got some links back to my services. That's how I've kind of done this at no cost for everybody. There's also custom links in here that Mark has provided for everybody, so kind of our go-to links are stored in here. So this should kind of be like a login hub where everything is kind of stored. And then you can see I've put these people on my team here just for an example, but I can see people on my team. So for this example, I put Alexis, Alma, Anthony, and Ashley on my team. So I could click through and I could see what they're doing in terms of like coming into the system and stuff like that. But when I initially log in here, I can edit like my agent profile. I can come in here and I can add a photo in here. I can put information about, if I'm married, my spouse, my kids, pets, stuff like that. All stuff that's really cool. I know Mark has dogs. I don't know Mark's dogs' names. I'm just going to be honest, Mark. I wish I knew your dogs' names. We're good friends. I know you have dogs. I know they just made a mess in the house, but I don't know their names. So, that's kind of part of like the instant rapport in here. Do I know the exact ages of his kids? No.
Can we have can we have a spot to put pictures of our dogs?
I will add that put that on the list. See, this
Thanks,
might have
man.
been when you were saying, as long as it's not too ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, we might as well put pet photos in there. That's an easy update. I know that sounds crazy to do that, but everything should, this should be your contract level, your exam date, when you started. And down below here, we've got basically a general availability, so you can set your office hours. So the idea is we can see if you're in the office or not in the office. So just kind of basic stuff to kind of help with some of the cohesion here. I've got a Google Calendar I'm trying to connect in here. So I'm trying to get this approved right now. So I'm trying to make it so we can also integrate our Google Calendars in here. So imagine you've got 3 or 4 brand new people on your team. Imagine if you could see their calendar and what they're doing and what their next steps are, what type of activity they have set up. So this system tab here is meant just to journey and to chart where you're at in the business. So this is kind of showing me just where I'm at with GFI. If I continue to scroll down here, it shows me where I'm at. So if I expand all here, this is just kind of a checklist to manage you or people that you're putting in the business, through where they're at. So, again, this was all kind of in a Google Doc. I think it was a little bit hard to edit. It was a little bit hard to follow. All of it is kind of right here. All of this is going to be kind of edited by Mark kind of real time as well. So as, the onboarding process evolves, we can change it. But this is just kind of meant to gamify the whole thing a little bit too. You can
Hey,
see
Chris,
it.
let me kind of hop in as we go a little bit, but
Please.
some of this, you guys, right? The agent will have, right, the responsibility or autonomy, however you want to put it, right, to check off things as you go as well. So I won't be checking off every one of those things, but when you do something, we'll see it. Everybody, I'll see it, Michael will see it, et cetera, and be able to act on it.
Yeah, and this is kind of the boring stuff right now. So the more fun stuff would be like our top 100 list. So we get a brand new agent and we want them to start working on their top 50, their top 100. Where are they putting that data right now? I think we're maybe putting that data in a Google Doc. Maybe we're just putting it in a random place. The whole idea is that we can put it in here, so I can come in here and I can easily add a contact and just add more people in here. So that as soon as I add somebody in, let's say I pulled somebody out of my phone, I just added them in. I can throw their email, their address, any other information I have on them. I also have a priority rating on the leads. So the idea when we first start here is we're going after warm market primarily, and we're putting these people in as a top 100 list. A lot of these people might turn into field trainings or recruits. So let's turn John Doe into a field training. You can see now on my list, he's still in my top 100 list, but you can see that he's been moved to field training down here. So if I head over to my field trainings, he's right here. So this is kind of just the basic fundamentals when you're getting started here at GFI is to get your 10 field trainings done. I've got a tab on here to track recruits too. So what happens, your top 100 list, you just splash everybody, I think, in off of your phone, anybody you've come into contact in life. And then as they're coming in here, we figure out, is this person going to be a potential client or are they going to be a potential field training? I think they're going to end up being one or the other, so somebody that we're going to try to do a field training with or someone that we're going to try to turn into a recruit or maybe both. So the cool thing is you can make them a recruit and a field training. So as we hire people and bring them on board to recruit people to our team, we would move them over to this partners tab. So if I'm over here on recruits, I can move this person over to business partner now. So if I come over to partners, you can see Marcus has been converted to partner. So just a quick, easy way to store all your contacts when you're first starting here. Same with clients. So let's go back to my top 100 list, or let's go to my field training. Now that Avery Collins is here, let's make Avery Collins a client. When I flip her over to become a client, that's when I could fill in more information about her, policy number, select carrier. So let's say I come down here to Ethos, maybe it was an IUL, maybe the target was $2,500. I can calculate in here a split. I can put my commission in here, all of this stuff, and then just save that. And then eventually we would migrate this over to delivered. So this would be like points submitted. And we might just want to rename this header from clients to submitted points. That could be an easy thing to kind of make this easier for everybody.
Yeah. And then Chris, we have a section, right, that we were talking about that's going to be folks that we're working on as well, right, that have not become clients yet. That way Michael can see what is in our pipelines.
Well, so anybody that's a client, this would be like submitted business.
Yeah,
they would
we're going to have it in the pipeline as well.
Yeah, so I think, they're going to end up here. So step one, I think they would come in on your top 100 list. They're going to turn out to be a field training, or you could put them right onto the field training list. Once they've,
I'm talking, these are like Ethos leads and things like that, right? That they're talking to people, they're interested, got to get, those types of things.
Well, and I think we would migrate those people right over to a field training. They would end up on this tab, and then they would go there from field training. They could live here. So I think your field trainings would be a good indication of your pipeline, and then also clients, and then of course delivered business. Licensing, this would just be an easy place to keep track of all your different licenses, your license numbers, your life number, your annuity number. That's kind of endless chaos when you're in this business. I used a Google Doc to track a lot of this for quite a while. Let's get to the fun stuff though. So this would be a way for us to track our stats. So I have two ways to track our stats each day: personal production and then recruiting. And you can see here, I've got little goal periods, so right now we're in the 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. goal period. So this would be a chance for us to record how many calls did we make, how many pitches did we make, how many appointments did we make, and then how many points did we submit. And we can change this or edit this based upon what you guys think is best. We've also got a chance to score and to track issued paid. And if you don't know what you did for the goal period, you can always just come down here and submit this data daily. So I've got a little stat tracking sheet that I can provide to you too, Mark. It's just a little PDF doc. It might be something easy everybody could print out. You could just keep it at your desk and just go the old bundle of sticks tracking method, just //5. But tracking your stats, I think, is everything. So same with recruiting. Another reason we want to start filling this out is there's a built-in leaderboard function in here. So if we all start tracking our stats and we start tracking how many people we're signing up, how much issued paid, how much points we have submitted every day, all of that's going to translate to a leaderboard function, which I think will be a lot more fun here for the base shop. This is my weekly view and my monthly view on my stats. So once I start entering my stats, I can come in here and I can easily kind of see what I've done. So entering stats, admittedly boring. Tracking stats, admittedly boring. But the whole goal of tracking our stats is to start to identify short-term goals. So the cool thing in here, and this was in the Google Doc too, it just wasn't quite as robust. We just had like an area to list our goals, which to me is not as exciting. We've got a place in here where we can add goals. And these goals could be anything. They could be personal production, recruiting, team growth, fitness and spiritual goals, nutrition goals, relationship goals, all of this, I think, kind of relates to the 5 Fs. So a realistic goal for somebody in here might be going to the gym, so maybe personal fitness. Maybe I just want to start working out 3 days a week or something like that. So work out, say 4 days a week. And then why does this matter? So why would this matter to me? Maybe personal health. Hello. And then what do I need to achieve this goal? That's what I like about the goals is we have like step-by-step processes. So like, what do I really need to do? So like I need to get a gym membership. I probably need to start waking up an hour early. I probably need to start eating a little better as part of this goal too. So maybe eat breakfast. And then maybe go to bed. Go to bed before 12 a.m. So try to go to bed today, wake up tomorrow kind of vibes. So if I save this goal, and I can move these goals around in any order I want. Now, as I come in here, I can check off. Oh, hey, I finally got that gym membership. I'm getting closer to that goal. Hey, I'm starting to wake up an hour early. Hey, I've been knocking breakfast out. Hey, I've been going to the bed before 12 a.m. You know, I've been going to the gym 4 days a week. So now I could mark it as achieved if I want. So I've got like my achieved goals down here. I've got my current goals. So this is all critical stuff. If you're bringing people in the business or even yourself, like if you don't know what your short-term goals are, there's no way to hit your dreams. So all of this kind of comes together and it ties together. The stats, you start tracking your stats, you're going to start hitting your goals. If you start hitting your goals, now the dreams are going to start to happen. So you can see I've identified some dreams in here. Buy my first home, take my family to Hawaii, quit my full-time job. So I think these are pretty normal dreams that people have when they come here to GFI. But, you know, how do we really, you know, how do we write this stuff down? How do we make it visual? How do we make it more emotional? And that's the whole point of this. So the dreams were a little bit different than goals. Again, all of this could be customized. So if somebody's seeing something on here and thinking, hey, I could change this a little bit, or hey, it would be super cool if it did this instead of that. All of that's very easy to do here. But the whole idea was just to kind of make this simple and to house the relationship that you have with yourself in the business for the first 6 to 12 months, and then people you're bringing in. You know, if you bring a new person into the business, it's all about pushing them through the system and doing training 1, training 2, ASAP. They need to be in here putting people in their top 100 list. You know, if I get in here and I look at the person on my team and they're not doing anything and there's no progress in here, something's going on. I need to do an SOS call. This person doesn't even look like they logged in. You know, that's a disaster. They don't have anybody in the, you know, they have no system progressions. We don't even have any indications that they've even done the pre-licensing course or anything like that. They're brand new to the system. Something's got to start going on.
Hey, Chris, real quick, just so everybody, this is all made up stuff, right? That's not really Alexis's. Yeah.
Well, no, but she just hasn't started her profile. That's all.
Yeah. Just to be clear, I just didn't want you to think
for sure.
that was.
That was my simulated presentation.
Yeah, that's just made up.
So that's the My Vision tab up here. So you got your stats, goals, and dreams. But I mean, all of that ties in. And then the other big thing up here would be like our training tab. So there's a lot of like PDF documents that have been shared with me at GFI. A lot of them are just tough to read sometimes. It's a PDF doc. So I've converted all that stuff in here. So it's easy just to kind of go through here and to see everything that you want to see from a training standpoint. This is like a centralized training manual I made. I combined like 6 of the different PDFs they had, and this is like a 17-point page. I've got a glossary of, you know, terms and stuff like that we use at GFI. You know, grip, net point ratio, clean sheeting, EMD, CFT, base shop, you know. All of these words are kind of like brand new words when you first start. It's like, this is a foreign language at first. So this is stuff that you don't have to like unlock or do any weird stuff with. It's just in here. You know, you've got the recruiting and builder manual, you know, just all of it is kind of in here at your fingertips. There's a bunch of books in here that I've got links to. There's about 117 different books you have access to. And again, that's going to be a PDF copy of the book. I think if you're enjoying the book, this is kind of a chance to preview the book and then just buy it on Amazon. I bet you can buy any of these books on Amazon for $5 or $10. So this is kind of an easy way just to kind of preview the book and to see, hey, is this something that I maybe want to purchase? This is the 48 Laws of Power. Pretty cool book, really cool book if anybody hasn't read this. Certainly hard to read on a PDF here, but you know, I'm getting enough here where I can say, hey, do I want to read this or do I want to buy it? Let me go up to the top here. So we've got a tab for our MD plan too. So I think the MD plan, like anybody who's brand new, you know, there's a 90-day run and you could be an MD here at GFI. So this would just gives you your path 1 or path 2. You know, it's either 15,000 points 3 months in a row or it's 60,000 points within 3 months. So it just shows the breakdown. It's an easy way to track our partners. You know, have they been licensed yet? Have they been appointed yet? So just easy ways to kind of track your bonuses and what the next levels are. Easy way to track your recruits and stuff. And we've got to put this stuff somewhere. You know what I mean? This needs to be visual. So the next one would be the EMD plan. So it just talks about, month 1 through 6, how many points you would need here. And we're probably going to expand a lot of this. We're going to add some thermometers in here to make it very visual where your people are at and where you're at and what it takes to get to the next level. So this is just kind of a preview of the MD plan and the EMD plan area, but it really
There'll
needs
also
to
be, there's also going to be a senior associate plan, right? The next step and
Yeah.
all those types of things.
This dashboard here is going to just kind of serve as like a place for us to rapidly develop stuff for the base shop, to not have to wait for anything to be developed. And I don't know, everything we need can kind of be right here. I think there's a lot of stuff that I'm going to start maybe putting in here too from Agency Rocket. I'm going to start looking at, reinventing a lot of those calculators. I've got a lot of nice calculators that I've built with the website offer right now, if anybody's not familiar with that. So we're going to put more stuff in here. The goal is to continue to build on this and just to continue to kind of make this Mark's Teva, so to say. So, the company has Teva, a lot of great stuff happening in Teva. This is going to maybe fill the gap between anything Teva's not doing and what you guys need right now today. And we can rapidly update and develop on this. So that's maybe my 15 minutes there. I don't know if anybody has any questions or, if you're seeing anything, Mark, that sticks out or.
We'll go over all those things.
Yeah.
Chris, why don't you show them, does anybody have any questions? Right? If I was everybody, I just start, going through, playing with things, start entering stuff as you have it, right?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mark.
No,
is this
please.
just something just available for you, or is this something that you're making for everybody, or how's that working?
Who's speaking, please? I can't tell.
I'm so sorry. I'm Janice. Let me
Hi,
get up.
Janice. Well, Janice, are you on RJ's team?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Chris, have you spoken to RJ yet about that?
No, not yet. So
yeah, so when RJ puts that together, then you'd have a chance to see that. Yeah, this would be limited right now to my team.
Oh, okay. So look, am I intruding? I didn't know.
No, God, no. No,
I'm sorry.
no,
I didn't know if this was
we're just trying to test it and to get it up and running, and then
no. Janice, I keep an open office. You're fine. Hang out.
Okay.
You will be seeing this eventually.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Cool.
Just Chris hasn't rolled that out for RJ yet, but he will.
Okay. Okay. Great.
Yeah. But you're welcome. No, please hang out.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Please.
Okay.
Chris, maybe show one unless anybody has any other questions. Anybody?
Let me make one note too, something that kind of turned into an issue for me, even with somebody I brought in on my team. They brought somebody in and it seemed like they were maybe a little haphazard with the data that their team members were putting in. So the cool thing is I can see these people that are on my team for the example, but let's say that Anthony Mullins comes over here and he enters data into his top 100 list. I can't see the phone number or the email as the upline. So I would have to coordinate and collaborate with my downline the way I'm supposed to contact these leads and to do business. At no point in time am I just going to be able to jump in here and pillage and plunder your data and to start calling.
Super important point. Super important,
It's
Chris.
a massive point. I've seen it become an issue before. And the issue is, you put somebody new into the system, there's a lot of trust when you're brand new. Hey, I'm going to put, my friends and family in here. Who can see that data? Are people just going to be calling that data without my permission? I had somebody call somebody's dad at like 7 a.m. I'm thinking like, dude, what are you doing? Why would you ever call somebody else's leads, but like their dad? You're going to cut them out of that transaction? Hey, me and your dad are doing a little business. Don't worry about it, Mark. It was just, I don't even know what the plan was. So, and it just seems like maybe if there wasn't an opportunity for some of that in the first place, because I think, everybody's learning, people learn by making mistakes. I wouldn't want those mistakes necessarily happening to me or on my dime. So there's
all that stuff's protected. All that stuff's completely protected.
Yeah.
From everybody. Yeah.
And then the cool thing is too,
nobody's using it.
We can import data in here too. So there's a really nice import wizard. So if you can export all of the stuff from your cell phone, I know there's a way to export all of your contacts from your cell phone. you could export everything from your cell phone and we could import it right in here. And then we could work with the data right here on the computer instead of you trying to mess with it on your cell phone. And we could categorize it and figure out who you want to keep, who you don't want to keep. This is all just kind of made up data, sample data. So let's say we imported somebody and we didn't like them, we would just delete them and they would be gone. So not a big deal. So easy to deal with this and to kind of interact with the data on here versus my phone. So delete, gone. So easy to remove people. So I know that's kind of a big feature sometimes, instead of manually going through your phone, we can import in all that data if you can figure out how to export the contacts from your phone. So, that would be just a quick instant win. If you put a brand new agent on this and they were instantly able to import in 400, 500, 600 contacts, think of how fast and easy, how much time that would save. And they're just instantly in business here, opening up the records and cleaning up their data and, make an initial outreach.
This is great, Chris. Does this come when we get PROPHOG and we have access to all of the agents and mortgage brokers, et cetera? Is this just the backside of that?
This is a different system I built in the last couple weeks.
It's phenomenal.
So
How
I
do
could
we-
always get with you and Danny.
Yes, Danny wants to talk to you.
I know he bought the website, DannyClayborn.com, so
Yes,
I was tickled to death that was available for him. So
I am too. He said he wants to do it. He's just getting ready to go to Mississippi. And so he said he's going to call you.
yeah, we could always jump on a Zoom and talk about this too.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chris.
Hey, I appreciate you asking a question. Anything else you want me to poke at, Mark? I know everybody's time is valuable. It's Friday. Everybody probably trying to get a couple things done here and start to focus on the
Yeah, I know
weekend.
one of the things that we're going to really start doing, because I think that maybe we haven't done a great job of presenting this, is at the very, very beginning of the conversation, right? That we're going to start having on these field trainings. It's going to have three parts, right? Three parts. The first, right, is to acknowledge, the thank you for allowing you, the friend, the, whatnot, to get some training, right? To understand how this works. The second part is to acknowledge that we've got literally the best products and all those types of things. And if they're interested and such, key is they're interested, right? We don't sell this. Key is they're interested, that we'd like to compete for their business. We'd like to compete for their business. So we're making that offer. And then finally, the third thing is going to be, right, that in this economy and such, we know a lot of people out there are looking for work, right? And just asking them, hey, do you know anybody who, right? Do you know anybody who, right? And that's it, right? So there's been more of an introduction and a stage setting. So there should be absolutely no hesitation with putting people, in front of your field trainers. Guys, there's companies that like Michael did this for 10 years without ever buying a lead. You guys have 500-600 people in your phone that'll sit and listen to this. And just to be real clear one more time on how true this is. Remember, 67% of folks have never had a financial review, a financial house, right? And of those 33% that have, half of those are out of date, right? So a full 8 out of 10 people can benefit from a conversation with you. So we've got to overcome that feeling of trepidation or being uncomfortable, right? We're gonna have to be a little bit uncomfortable if we're gonna change our lives, right? So we need to reestablish that, that top 100 and whatnot. So anyway, we'll work together with you guys on that. Chris, do you want to show also just real quickly your website offer that you're doing, and then we'll call it a day?
I was about to jump in on what you were saying there because
go ahead. Go, please.
But
Please go ahead.
But part of getting uncomfortable and part of selling without leads, and how do we navigate this business and not have to spend $1 million on leads? Branding, baby. So this is the client facing site. So what would be really cool would be having this up and running before your grand opening. But imagine being able to share a site like this, or to do a Zoom share, and to be able to walk through and to, do this from a position of power, a position of confidence. So there's nothing better than a strong website in this business, a nice, strong branding feel. You can see we registered PastorLelandRubin.com for this one.
Leland's my brother, by the way.
So this is the client site. So imagine if you could just share something like this very casually with a client, or better yet, warm market. Hey, I know we haven't talked in a while. I just wanted to let you know what we're doing. Here's a link to my site. Hey, I'd love to jump on a call and go through this financial independence calculator with you right here. This financial independence.
Show them what it looks like. Go ahead and do it.
The financial independence, and this is just the one on the client side. I've got an even more advanced one that I've put together. But the goal is just to show these people, what is my financial independence number? So based upon my current age and my current savings, and my projected Social Security. So let's say that I think I'm going to make about a $1,500 pension. Let's say I think I'm going to make $2,000 from Social Security. I want to make $10,000 a month in retirement. I'm saving $1,000 a month. I have $50,000 on hand, so I'm pretty far behind at age 45. And if I'm going to make a 9% return, I'm way off base. I'm $1,400 behind per month right now. So I'm 45. I'm way behind the game. And then look at this. This is even worse. What if we adjust this for inflation? I'm in real trouble. I'm $3,300 per month off my goal. So right now, this person's in bad shape. They need to come down off this number real quick. The 120, let's be realistic. If this person were to live off of 80 or 75,000, and this is what's interesting, is we can see what they're really on track to save for. Their current savings has them on track to make about $65,000 when you adjust it for inflation. So very scary. So they either need to start saving more or reduce their expectation. They need to start considering to live on a budget. They might want to start checking out subsidized housing. They need to let's start talking about now, what kind of cutbacks are you ready to make when you retire? What are you willing to give up that's a part of your life right now? This is a powerful calculator. These are like game-changing conversations you're having with people, and it's all on your client page now. So all of this is built in on the websites too now. It's kind of like a proactive share link. So we try to get people to share it. There's share links up here as well, where they can share one-click email, one-click to their friends. And then, of course, your bio would be at the bottom. So this would just be an easy site that you would share with clients. Warm market. There's multiple different sites I make you for like $30 a month. It's kind of wild. This would be the recruiting page. So these two pages are kind of like the core pages. So build a business that helps families and pays you what you're worth. The opportunity at a glance. So what I like about all of these animations is these do really well on like a Zoom presentation. You're going to keep your audience entertained, and you're also going to keep their eyeballs. Like if I show this page to Mark right now, Mark is looking at all of these numbers and I don't know what he's looking at. He's all over the map. But as soon as I highlight this, I capture Mark's attention now, and I can get him to look at the item on the screen that I want him to look at. So this is really meant to kind of be like a dynamic Zoom presentation experience where you're in control, and it's a storytelling opportunity. So we've got the baby boomer story in here. So anybody that's not familiar with this is kind of what shapes the business right now. The baby boomers touched and exploded every business they ever came into contact with. So this is meant to be a 10-minute conversation. And this is kind of where we're at now, the great wealth transfer. The baby boomers for the next, in the 2020 to 2040, they're going to age out, so to say. There's 10,000 boomers turning 65 every day until 2030 right now. Most of them don't have adequate life insurance. Most of them have no estate plan. That's why me and Mark went to the trust thing in Dallas. And the next, 20 years is when we capture this window. So, and they're just turning 65 till age, till 2030. So that this next 20 years is big. So, like any, recruiting opportunity, we would show people they can come in as a referral agent, part-time, full-time, or as a team builder. So, there's a breakdown on all the commissions. Again, everything is animated. So as you kind of move the mouse over it, you're entertaining your folks. So this is just an easy, fun way to pitch the business. So this is something you could just text to somebody. You know, imagine pulling the, you know, that whole routine in the restaurant. Hey, you know, you delivered excellent service today at our table. What was that? What's the pitch? Hey, I don't want to be weird, Mark. And I don't want to make this weird, you know. Would it be all right if I shot you the link to my website that kind of breaks down what we do? And if you see something on there that resonates with you, I'd love to have a call with you. So this would be a real casual way for you to up your recruiting game and then kind of reverse close them at the end. Normally you might close somebody and try to get their phone number. You just send them the website. Just say, hey, look, let me shoot you over a link to my website. If you see something on here that resonates with you, we should definitely have a call. There's a link to my calendar on there. You can text me and call me. I'd love to have a call with you. You know, and here's the bio again. You know, this is the bottom of the recruiting page. So this is just kind of one of like 8 pages on here. I actually built the 9th page yesterday, which is the faith-based page. This is something I just rolled out because Leland does a lot of work with churches. If you got Leland Rubin in front of a church, let's say you could get him in front of a congregation of 100 people, he would fly in on his own dime and split the points with you, FYI. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with that value offer. And in PROPHOG, I've got about 200,000 data points on churches. So this is our faith-based program at GFI. Leland Rubin is obviously the leader of this division. So this is another side I've rolled out for this. But this is all stuff that you could piggyback on. You could use this stuff to get in front of a church. And if you could get in front of the church, you could get Leland in there and he'd split the points with you. So real cool. You know, so just, again, I try to make the websites fun, exciting. I've got a light mode and a dark mode built into each one so you can lighten it up without having to change the theme. You know, we put some scripture and some cards in here too. So this is a real fun one. I'd even put a little stress test here on the bottom. Let me show you this. You guys might appreciate this little stress test. So begin the stress test. And this kind of reminds me more of like estate planning. So if something happened to you or your spouse today or your loved one, would you know exactly what to do first? I'm going to say absolutely. Could your family immediately find access to the important documents to handle your affairs? Probably not sure. If an illness or accident left you unable to make a decision, is there a clear standing instructions to somebody? No. Are you confident your current plan minimizes the taxes on your beneficiaries? Probably not. If someone had to raise your children or the people, I'm going to put not applicable. My kids are older, but so this is a 20-question stress test. Let me just kind of go through this so you can see the output. But this is just kind of the fun stuff I've been putting on the sites to kind of make them a little bit more interactive. And then the cool thing is here is you get the elevated exposure. So you're 64 out of 100. There are several areas where your current plan could create real stress, delay, or cost for the people you love, Mark. Is it your intention to stress out the people that you love in your life? No. You know, the good news, each one of these is fixable with the right guidance. So the fun thing is here, I can just open this letter right here and it auto generates this custom letter. And then it uses the data that you put in here and it talks about where they would focus. You know, your result came down to a 64 out of 100 level. I would describe this as elevated exposure. So, you know, anybody could do the stress test on here. So this is just an example of some of the sites I'm making.
Hey, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Show them the letter from future you to current you.
Yeah, and then we'll look at the dime method. So this is the athlete page. I don't know if anybody's doing anything with athletes. This is something I just rolled out where, you know, it talks about a lot of athletes are filing bankruptcy. 1 in 6 NFL players file bankruptcy within 12 years of retiring. NIL is a whole big category right now. I don't know if anybody knows about NIL income for college athletes, but college athletes are making money. NIL is name, image, and likeness. So these college kids are like negotiating contracts. You know, there's like serious stuff going on right now. And then, you know, the serious thing is the power of investing in your early 20s. What if you made like 100 or 150,000 a year in college playing ball, never went pro? You could build legacy just off of investing a part of that income. You know, so 98% of student athletes go pro in something besides sports. You know, 50% want more information about taxes. 60% receive no financial education in high school. Big surprise. 65% no financial education at college orientation. 91% have never met with a financial counselor. You know, so all of these stats on here to kind of really summarize what we all know is that athletes are notoriously bad at managing their money. So this calculator right here shows, what if somebody started putting away 25 grand a year at age 20? And what if they just did that, say, for 4 years? Let's say they made 9% on that money. And what if they waited till age 65? 4.2 million bucks they're sitting on. Every $1 they put in became $42. This is fun too. I'll show you the export, but I've got this on here. This changes based upon the time frame you enter above. So we have a 45-year time frame, so it's going to show us a back-tested S&P results. So it just shows us that if we keep money in the market, we do well. The average return is over 13%. So leaving money in the market is a good idea. Our best year was 37%. Our worst year was down 37%. S&P posted a positive return 37 out of 45 years. So it makes sense to leave money in the market. If we export this to a PDF, the fun thing is it generates a cover letter, Dear Future Investor. So it generates a letter from the advisor to the athlete, just kind of summarizing what their plan would be, encouraging them to take the next steps. Here's a summary of the plan. So just, and this could, this calculator can work for anybody. And this is, I love this. This is just a one pager. I die sometimes when I see like these charts and illustrations, like my brain just explodes. So the simplicity of this, I love. And you can see right here, they stopped investing. They only put money in for 4 years. 4 years. How 100,000 can turn into $4.2 million? Like, this is financial education people need to understand. This is the power of compound interest. And I love this. Every $1 you invest becomes 42. I don't care where you're at and what your ability is to understand this stuff. Everybody can understand that at $1 turning into 42, pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. It also generates this letter to my future self. So this is a letter from them at age 65 or whatever year they toggled that they wanted the money out. And it's a pretty nice tear-jerking letter. It talks about their plan. If they invest $25,000 a year for just 4 years starting now, while it's hardest and every dollar feels like it belongs somewhere else, it could be worth $4.2 million by the time I become you. So you only have to find $100,000 of that money. The other $4.1 million is the reward for just not quitting and not taking the money out. It's crazy. So this is a real interesting letter because it's from their future self to them. This would be a real tearjerker if you got them to sign this and endorse it and to date it and then put it in a frame and hand it to them. So the final letter here is just a parent letter that I've developed. So this is just, reminding the parent that these next couple of years are very critical. They're going to echo far longer than anyone expects. And this NIL money is new stuff. College athletes were not allowed to make money anymore. It used to be a scandal when we found out college athletes were getting paid under the table. Everyone was like, oh my God, I can't believe that Reggie Bush took $1 million on the down low. And really? Now they're allowed to get paid. So it's a lot more cool. So some of the stuff that might be a little bit easier for us to understand, dime method. This is one of the websites I put in here too. I love this for a teaching aid for brand new agents coming in the business or using this for a customer. So we can come in here and I can easily just go through this presentation and I can decide how much of my income do I want to replace. 20x is usually the rule of thumb here. So that's why I moved that to 20. And as I come in here and I put in my debts, other things that I would want to have paid off if something happened, you can see it's updating real time over here. Hey, I got a $250,000 mortgage. Do I want to include my mortgage in the payoff estimate? That's a stupid question. It's on here though, just to keep it visual. I think that's going to be an easy yes question. So as we continue in here, it's just going to take us through the dime method presentation. So I've heard a lot about the dime method. I've had a lot of people try to explain this to me. I'm not very good at listening and comprehending, apparently. It was a lot easier for me to build this because this seemed just to be a lot more visual and a lot more fun for the customer, I think, too. Special needs planning. Hey, do you have any kids? My brother's son has diabetes. That would be something he would probably need to be planning for with life insurance if something were to happen to him. Is there money that's being earmarked? Hey, maybe I've got 2 kids, and if something happened to me, I'm dead set on the fact that they would have maybe $25,000 for their future wedding. All of this is possible with life insurance and kind of going through this. So, and maybe they already have $500,000 in coverage. Maybe they thought that was enough. Okay, hey, we can take that off the total. No big deal, Mark. Maybe they've got some employer paid life insurance they want to take off the total. That's fine. The whole idea, though, is you get to this CMI estimate. So this would be the buying process. There's a whole sales cycle when you're selling something to somebody, and I would call this the buying process. To me, it's very boring. For me, my buying process would be just to get as much life insurance as I could. But for somebody else, they might want to know, hey, what in the hell are we doing this all for? How did you come up with that number? Hey, you didn't just make that up, did you? Well, kinda. This would this would allow us to not just make that up. Another tool in here that we built is the financial independence calculator. So this is just another version of what you saw on your website on the main home site. This would just be something that's a little bit more shareable. It's got some more options on here. It's a lot more powerful when it talks about inflation. It shows the cost of inflation. Like, so over 25 years right here, inflation destroys the purchasing power of your dollar by 85%. Nobody's really talking about that. And if somebody wants to get in here and get nitty gritty in the math, jump in. Probably a little bit too much. Every once in a while, someone likes to be a detail guy. Hey, awesome. Get in here, big guy. And then, this talks about what needs to happen too. Hey, you plan to retire at 65, but Social Security starts at 67. We should talk about that. That's what's on the calculator here too. Hey, I want to retire right here at 65. Well, when do I plan on taking Social Security? Well, I'm going to wait till I'm 67. You think that's going to change your financial plan a little bit if you're not getting this $2,000 a month for 24 months when you want to retire? Yes, it's going to change your plan. So all of this, is meant to just to have an easy conversation. And then look at this too. This gets pretty mean too. Hey, closing this is doable, but going from $1,000 to $2,700 a month is a real increase. Expect it to take budget changes, not just automation. Housing, vehicles, and recurring subscriptions are usually where the room is here. So it starts to give you ideas, and it starts to get pretty realistic with you. You know what I mean? It's not just like, hey, just start saving an extra $4,000 a month and you're going to be all right. Like, you probably need to dial back your expectations if you're that short. The cool thing is too, is you can click this, share these numbers here, and it's going to share all of the adjustments that we made into the calculator. It's going to make it so you can copy that and share that with your customer. So they're not going to have to go back into that customer and set everything back to what you guys talked about. And then down here, I just have some basic messages that get generated. So this would just be an easy message. You could come down here and just copy and paste this and just text it to somebody. So instead of you having to come in and reinvent the wheel after every single conversation, it's nice if just some of this content is in here. I've got a PDF report that's downloadable on here too that just kind of shows their financial independence number, where they're at in the plan right now, how short they are, the quiet cost of inflation. So just some fun little goodies for the customer. The idea is you're not really supposed to show the customer all these sites. This is just supposed to be a grab bag of fun. And if you're on a Zoom, you should know the temperature in the room and you should know what presentation to pull out. We talk a lot about financial house at GFI. Some people, if they've never heard financial house, they're like, what are you talking about? What the hell's financial house? This would be an easy way to kind of visualize, hey, the foundation is the life insurance. The walls on your financial house are having a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, actively saving for college if you have kids where you have college that you're trying to save for. And then the structure is your retirement savings based upon how much you're trying to make in retirement. How old are you right now? How much do you currently have in retirement savings already? How much are you going to make from pension and Social Security? So right now we need to raise this monthly contribution to get to where we need to be. See, so now as we raise that, the house comes together. And then the final part of the financial house is the roof. So, do you have a trust in place? And are the wills and beneficiaries current? So when all of that comes together, the financial house comes into play. This financial house, that could be a 30-second presentation. It could be a 5-minute conversation, just depending on your customer and depending on where you're at. So all of this stuff is just here for theatrics. You've got multiple different recruiting pages. With PROPHOG, you get access to recruiting data too. So this is a realtor page. This page is specifically designed just to recruit real estate agents into the business. So it's a business presentation that just talks about the time to get licensed. Do you know in Ohio, it's 160 hours of class time to get my real estate license? Brutal. Out-of-pocket cost, anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 to become a real estate agent. So these real estate agents are paying big bucks, and they're paying a lot of annual fees too. So, I mean, they're not going to be surprised if, oh my gosh, I got to pay for Teva. How dare you? They're paying $1,500 to $3,000 a year already just to be a member of the National Association of Realtors, State Association of Realtors, and then there's usually a local board. I talked to Carlos. He's on the real estate division here. He was a member of 3 different real estate boards so he could sell real estate. So super brutal. And if you're a realtor, you're only working in one market versus 50. To me, life insurance and being, in the financial space that we're in, this is a retirement plan for a realtor. What is the retirement plan for being a realtor? To sell houses till you're 100 years old? What if you want to move down to Boca and like sit in the sun? Well, you can't sell houses in your established place anymore. So think of it big picture for these realtors, and the more successful they are, the better. Because these are people we want to bring in the business. And Eric Olson has said 100 times, you got to be able to recruit leaders and, faster than other people can develop them. I think these real estate agents are leaders. I think they're people that could do big things in this business. The final recruiting page is a custom healthcare page. So I know Levi does a lot of healthcare recruiting. He's the head of that division here. So bringing people in from healthcare is huge. They're burned out. Good news is you don't have to convince any of these people they are burned out. If you just vaguely mention it on the phone, that's going to turn into about a 30 or 45-minute rant from anybody in healthcare. So this page, it just kind of talks about that they have compassion already. They already have trust. People already rely on them for guidance. They're seen, people in the healthcare space are respected by friends, family, colleagues. They've got discipline. They're working 12-hour shifts. They're commuting too. Resilience. They definitely have resilience. 12-hour shift, cleaning up some pretty gross stuff. Let's be serious. Service mindset. So these are people we want to bring in the business.
Yeah, Janice has got her hand up there.
Yeah, Janice, what's going on there, I think?
It's amazing. I was just going to ask you, do you custom make pages like that? Because I am a nurse, and that just popped up all of a sudden. That's crazy.
Well, my experience with anybody from healthcare is as soon as you get them talking about and complaining about stuff, you have to like reel them back into the phone. You're like, all right, slow down. I know you're working 12-hour shifts, and you got 50 patients, and they're hitting that call button every 20 seconds.
Yep.
You don't have to convince them that they're under a lot of duress. You don't have to convince them that their body is being beat up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unsafe stuff that nurses, unsafe situations that nurses are being put into as well with their bodies, having to lift people that are twice their body weight. They're getting hurt. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of nurses that have bad backs. And that's from lifting people out of beds who did not take care of themselves their whole life. And I remember one thing I heard on a GFI Zoom one time from somebody in the medical business. What's interesting about the insurance space is this: we now get a chance to be preventative. When you're a nurse or you're in the hospital space, it's too late to save somebody's life after they show up in the hospital and they're on, oxygen because they've been smoking for 40 years. It's game over. Your job is to help them in their final moments. Maybe, and that's why it was so profound that Levi was a hospice nurse. So he went from, dealing with the outcome to now in this business, we get to work on the preventative side. We get to get somebody coverage, living benefits or something like that before something happens. Because once they show up to the hospital and they got cancer or something's bad, or they're 500 pounds overweight, or they've been smoking 4 packs of cigarettes every day for the last 40 years, there's just nothing they can do. So, these healthcare workers and people in the healthcare space are exhausted by that. It's too late for them to help the people that they're coming into contact with most times. So I think a very scary proposition, and something that, from my experience, from what they've told me, it wears on them and it just wears you down. So if anybody has any questions on that, I think that the big goal here was to kick off the tracker. If anybody hasn't logged into that, let's start logging into that right away. If you've got people on your team we can make it on that tracker so you're going to be able to see the people on your team. So I think the big goal would just be able to get in there, like Mark was saying, just start playing with it, start messing with it. Your feedback is valuable. Normally on a project like this, nobody cares about your feedback. I got to tell you, there's nothing more brutal than being a part of something like this as a user, and nobody cares about your feedback. And I think everybody's probably been a part of a lot of software projects like that their whole life. You're like, oh, hey, it would be super cool if this could do this. And it's like something very obvious. And like for some reason, change never happens. So that's not what this is. If we see something on here, if you come up with an idea and you're like, hey, this makes more sense to have over here. And if it makes more sense, we'll just fix it. And there's rapid changes that we can make to this. So this should be everything when it comes down to you putting people in the business, you tracking where you're at in the business yourself. And this should enhance the success that we're able to have bringing people on board. This is going to let us know, is the person on our team, are they participating or not? Are they embracing the business? Are they calling us at 8 o'clock, maybe 1 or 2 beers deep, fired up about the business, but they don't have any recruits written in here? Because I'm probably going to stop taking those 8 o'clock calls if I don't see that you're engaged in the business. If I don't see at least 25 people on your top 100 list, I don't want to take any more calls. Respectfully, no more big idea calls until you start taking action in the tracker. So, and you've got to contain that excitement sometimes when people are brand new. They're excited, and they're going in 20 different directions. Stop it, get in the tracker, fill out your top 100 list. Let's start going through the process that we know works. So, you've got to control folks when they first start. They're excited. They want to do 100 different things. There's a process here that works. If we follow the process that works, they win. If they don't follow that process, there's a massive fallout. And it's a hard enough business to be successful in already. Coming in here and just being a rogue agent and just doing what you want to do, I don't think it's going to make you any money. I think it's going to be a bad outcome for your family. I think it's going to be a bad outcome for people on your family. Don't come in here and reinvent the wheel. This is the wheel that works. And what I've noticed is people that don't do warm market, they don't last. People that don't follow the script, it doesn't work as well. You come in here like, I'm just going to start buying leads. There's a reason that warm market works. This system works. There's a reason that tap routing works. So, and I tried to resist all this stuff at first. But, and Mark was a lead guy before, tried and true. The warm market stuff works. If you take if you look at a random 100 people on the street, I'd say 90% of those people are not saving enough money for retirement, and 90% of them don't have enough life insurance, if any life insurance at all. So that's why warm market works. If somebody puts 100 people in here from their warm market, chances are 90% of the people or more on that list, they're not saving enough money for retirement, and they don't have enough life insurance. So that was like the big light bulb moment for me in this business when I realized warm market and why it works. Why it works is most people don't have this stuff set up. They know they're supposed to set it up. And when you finally get a call from one of your buddies and you're like, hey, look, you should probably do this life insurance thing. Your buddy's like, yeah, I know. I've been putting that off. Like, you're right. I don't have anything. So I want to respect everybody's time here. We're kind of right on the hour here. Everybody should have access to this. This is what the login screen looks like. If you don't have access, just text Mark. He can text you a login link. I'm excited about this.
This is outstanding, Chris. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, William.
It is awesome. What about the website? Is that something that I have to go through RJ to get?
No, if you go over to PROPHOG.com, you can buy the website right now. I do $100 setup fee and then $30 a month on that. So if you come over to branding over here at PROPHOG.com and we go to see the build, this is a new site I've made just to kind of showcase everything. You can see it's up to like 8 pages now, or even 9 pages. So you could just tell me the ones that you wanted me to build for you and I would build them. But if we came and we did reserve for $99, it'll take you to this page. I've got 2 options. Some people want me to do like a fully customized website for them. I'll do that for you. If you have no website right now, just do the $30 a month one.
Okay.
These templates are awesome.
Okay.
Down the road, if you want to do something with your brand, do the more expensive website. But I mean, if you don't have something right now, the only other cost that you're going to have on something like this is going to GoDaddy and buying your domain. And the good thing about you buying your domain is you own your domain. So, and this is something I did the other night with a customer on the phone, Danny Claiborne. I looked on here and I thought, man, Danny Claiborne's kind of a unique name, you know, or not a unique name. I thought it was kind of common. I was kind of surprised it was available, but I came on here. It's not available now because he already bought it. So the first thing I would do for the branding, and the branding is so critical. I mean, you got to think there's probably 1,000 agents licensed to do what you're doing in your city right now. Like, how are you going to differentiate yourself? So come to GoDaddy, you would buy your domain. This would be the only other cost. It's only going to cost you $13 to buy your domain for the first
Yeah,
year.
I have a domain already.
All right, well, you're off to the races. So
What's your number? Can I call you?
yeah, and you can just book an appointment. So let me put my phone number in the chat for everybody if anybody wants to call me directly or if anybody has any questions. And you could always just book an appointment on the website too. You know, don't ever feel pressure to go in there and buy anything. Just book a time to talk to us and we can run through some of this stuff. But we're going to keep on making updates to it. Hopefully everybody can just get into the tracker. And again, anybody that's got any ideas, I know typically nobody cares about your ideas on stuff like this. And there's usually not a lot of feedback that anybody's ever had on stuff. I know that's what I've suffered from my whole life is, you know, hey, we should fix this, but there's no way to fix that. And that's not what this is. We're going to be able to make rapid updates to this. And if there's something in here that makes sense, we can put it in here pretty quick. So that's all I've got, Mark.
Thank y'all so much for letting me listen in.
Yeah, no
Chris, I
problem.
can't tell you how much I appreciate you, brother. Your partnership is amazing. This is just fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you for your time today, brother. If anybody needs me, please, I'll be back in the office here in about 25, 30 minutes, but that's all I've got today. So,
Sounds good.
Chris, unless you've got something, we're all good.
Nope. Everybody have a good weekend. Happy to connect with anybody anytime.
Thank you,
Okay, guys.
Chris.
Thank you, everybody.
Everybody be well.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Good seeing you.
Bye-bye.